Well, hello Ken, thank you
Hi.
very much for taking the time to talk to us.
No problem.
I just wondered if we could start, because we're here to talk about Lisztomania being released on DVD finally. I just wondered if you could start by talking about the genesis of Lisztomania and how you came about to work with Roger Daltrey again.
Yeah, well, I met Roger on Tommy, a role he created, originally. And there was no question of anyone else doing it. I mean, it was his show, really,
Yes.
with Pete Townsend. And I thought he was a good actor, he was just a natural. He also, I suddenly realised, looked like Liszt.
Yes. Yes.
Does look like Liszt, not many people do. With that, especially with the curly hair, shoulder length. And I thought it'd be great to, see what he could do, with a more challenging role.
Yes.
Than Tommy, though that in itself was challenging enough. And as I expected, he could act and he could play the piano. I mean, had to. Liszt not playing the piano would have been
Wouldn't have worked.
Wouldn't have worked at all.
So was that actually him playing the show?
Yeah.
Ah, I wondered about that. I thought maybe you'd used someone else.
No, that's him playing. And that's impressive because a lot of it's not that easy.
Yes.
And I also thought it would be good to do one of my composer films.
Yes.
In a more popular vein, because they were mostly made for consumption by music lovers.
Right.
Well, I thought, remembering the success of Tommy, I thought it'd be good if I sort of made the Liszt more popular. I got the popular side of him, which I hadn't done before.
Yes, the previous ones had been more sticking to the time period, and this was much more experimental, I think.
Yes, it was.
Yes.
So the thing was that I thought, well, he's a popular guy, tuneful, wrote some great tunes that would lend themselves to adding vocal line. And knowing he's a great singer, I thought, well, may as well combine the two, see if that'll work. And so that was why it was so different to all my other films I composed. And I also made the story, I sort of updated the story, because Liszt was one of the first pop stars.
Yes.
Although he was a serious composer, his music was very popular because it was full of good tunes.
Yes.
And so it seemed a simple step to add a few words to the songs as well. Also in the story was the fact that Wagner stole some of his tunes.
Yeah. Oh yes. Yes. Yeah.
Rather as a vampire might. So to turn Wagner into a vampire was the next step. And also I wove a modern day story in about Hitler and the way he used Wagner's music.
Oh yes, yes. He appropriated it, didn't he?
He did.
Yes.
And so there was a lot of stories sort of that amalgamated into this one idea, and especially the fact that Wagner not only created music that was very similar to Liszt, but he used it anti-Semitically. So it was ideal for Hitler to appropriate it and use it for his
yes.
purposes.
Yeah, so requisition it, yes.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and that's what I did. So there was a lot going on.
Oh, there is, yes, when you can see it.
It's quite a rich
Hmm.
story. And so, and I thought that popular sort of story would also interest the general public. And so I sort of latched on to things that people could recognise and go along with. And so it became a sort of vampire story.
Is that to introduce elements of more popular culture to
Yeah.
something that someone wouldn't necessarily go and see
That's right.
a biopic of Franz Liszt?
That's right.
Yeah.
So it was the perfect story for doing that. And his adventures were quite extraordinary.
Yes.
You know, his trips to Russia and his womanizing, you know, was also quite an interesting thing. Also interesting was the fact that his daughter married Wagner.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And that was another.
Must have been difficult, yeah.
Yeah, another nail in the coffin, as it were. So it was a very rich story.
Yes, very.
With good music. In fact, Roger could, you know, sing.
Yes.
And a lot of the, it was easy to put words to the tunes.
Yes, because you had Rick Wakeman working on the music as well.
Yes.
And how did he become involved? Did you approach him, or was
Yes,
he,
yes. He, in fact, I bumped into him a few minutes ago. I hadn't seen him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. He did a very good job, and he's into that sort of thing.
Yeah, he's a fascinating character.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
And so the music was of a high quality, and it was Liszt's music, just up a bit.
Given a tweak, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And very, very good tunes. So that worked well.
Brilliant. And with Lisztomania, it very much feels like it's very much your film, and there's a sort of sense through all your films of a sort of almost madness and a very much larger than life element to it. Does this reflect how you perceive things, or is it just you're trying to get different ideas across in a way that people who maybe wouldn't hear them, you know, can accept them in this way?
Yes, that's exactly. I thought this was the perfect vehicle for that sort.
And also your career has been fantastically all over the place. I mean, you've worked in TV and films, you've written books, written articles, and also worked on theatre. I mean, is that just you trying to get into as many different areas as possible, or you're just happy to work in any medium to tell your stories that you want to get across?
Well, I've produced about 12 operas.
Oh, is that many? I didn't realise that.
Yeah. And several Puccini. I did Faust, Gounod's Faust, at the Vienna State Opera, and not a Puccini.
Yes.
And I like sort of updating opera. You know, Madame Butterfly. You know, I set in a brothel in downtown Tokyo.
Excellent.
And but all you have to do is just change you know, a small amount, and you've got the same story. You know, it's basically a sailor who falls for a woman of ill repute with a heart of gold, and you know what happens to her. So that's why I enjoyed doing them.
But it must be interesting for you to mix up the stories as well, to maybe bring them more to life, like you say, setting it in somewhere that's completely foreign to anyone else who's seen it.
Yeah.
I think that must be great to open it up to other people.
Yes, I mean, I don't force them to be like that. It's, you know, they only need a slight nudge in a slightly different direction.
And when you have worked a lot on composers in different areas, in biographies of them, I mean, do you choose subjects whose intensity and lifestyle are similar to your own, or is there any, or do you just choose people that you're interested in?
I choose people I'm interested in. I started off with Tchaikovsky.
Yes.
I mean, it wasn't the first composer film I made, but I felt I owed him. I had a nervous breakdown earlier on, and I was just listening to the radio, sort of doing nothing, and I heard this marvelous music, and turned out to be Tchaikovsky. And that's how I got into classical music.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that helped. Did that help? Was that a help?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't hear classical music from then on without seeing pictures.
Right.
And when the pictures told the story.
Yes.
And so that was a great bonus, because every piece of music I hear, I can't help seeing a picture.
Yes.
So that's basically my inspiration.
Well, that's one of the things I love as well about cinema is the marriage of soundtrack and image. And I particularly love the work of Sergio Leone and Ennio Morricone. It's quite fantastic to me. I mean, is that one of the reasons you would cover music and you would do things like Tommy and Lisztomania, which was a fantastic mixture of those two, again, marrying images to music?
Yeah, I mean, I found it dead easy to do, and it seemed a good way to tell a story. And all the composers have interesting stories.
Yes, they all seem to have had fascinating lives.
Yeah.
Yes.
So getting the right music for the the right image was always part of it.
Yes.
And in Mahler,
Yeah.
it
With
was
Robert
very,
Powell.
yeah, it was very helpful. His music's very visual, lends itself
Yes.
to treatment. And even his I forgot what symphony it was. I think it was 401, which had a humorous element in it. And since he joined, he got a break in music by sort of cozying up to Wagner's relatives, and that helped him in his career, because unless you were, in with Cosima Wagner, you didn't stand much chance of getting anywhere in the world of opera. And so that's what he did, and he became, a great opera director, and it was because his association with her. But that's just one aspect of it.
Yes. One thing I was always interested in is you've worked with several actors numerous times: Oliver Reed, Glenda Jackson, Roger Daltrey a couple of times, and Robert Powell we just mentioned. Is there an attraction? Does it make life easier reworking with the same people, or were those just people very talented and you wanted to keep working with them?
Well, it does. I mean, you get a rapport with someone you work with more than once, and if you get on well with them, it's fun to keep the association going.
Yes.
I found out a way to work with Oliver Reed, who is a talented actor.
Oh, I love Oliver Reed.
Yeah.
I always think everyone focuses too much on his drinking, and he maybe gets overlooked as an actor, because as an actor he's unstoppable.
I know.
Such presence.
Yeah, and he never let the drinking interfere with his work. One never had to stop because he was, tipsy. And because he would never touch a drop in the day, but when the show was over,
So he's very professional. That's what I thought. Yes, yeah. It must have been to be have that much presence.
That's right. I found a good method of working with him. Nothing too intellectual. He looks, you know, he can look very moody.
Oh yes, yeah, it's incredible, smouldering.
That's right. No, so I devised a way of working where I just said, he'd say, "What do you want?" Called me Jesus for some reason. I don't know why.
Oh, called you Jesus?
Yeah. I thought it was in praise, but I don't think it was.
Oh.
It was some satirical. Anyway, so I'd say, "What do you want, Jesus? Moody 1, Moody 2, or Moody 3?" And that was it. That's how you act.
Brilliant.
So depending on, you know, how much contact you wanted, that was Moody 1, Moody 2.
That's excellent. But I guess that's shorthand. If you worked and you both knew what that entailed, it would make your life much easier as a director. And then one question I always wondered, how did you first meet Oliver Reed? Because again, I've always been interested in your two working relationship, but I just wanted to know how you'd actually first met. And I think you first worked on the TV series.
Yes. The first thing he did for me was a film on Debussy.
Yes.
He just had a bottle pushed in his face.
Oh, that's where you got that scar from, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah. And so he said, "What about this?" I said, "What?" I don't say anything.
Yeah.
And so that's how we got working together. But as I say, he was limited in his acting, and although he was very moody as Debussy, I thought that when I came to do another film on the Italian painter, well, English Italian, Dante Gabriel Rossetti.
Oh, right.
I thought, okay, he looked like Debussy, but he also looked like Rossetti, there's no doubt about it. And if he gave him a little beard, you know that. And so he agreed to do Rossetti, and we started, and he came into the room and he said, "Hello, I'm Dante Gabriel Rossetti," and blah blah blah. And I thought to myself, it's Debussy in a top hat and false beard. You know, and it was. So he did have his limits, but
yes,
you could get round him.
Yes, no, it's great. Such a presence.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, as you have worked in so many different genres, is there one that you found particularly pleasing or particularly difficult, or one that caused you most problems? I mean, from TV and films and plays and.
No, they're all, you know, if they're about composers, you know, that covers a wide range of, you know, possibilities. So
yes.
I stuck to that pretty well.
Just finally, one thing I wanted to sort of finish off by talking about was a lot of your films have been perceived by people as controversial, and I don't think they are. I mean, I find them incredibly enjoyable to watch, and I like films that push the boundaries of what is normal to some extent. I don't know. What is it you think people find threatening about these sort of films? You know, why is it we can't see the complete version of The Devils because someone deems it, you know, unworthy for us to see it? How do you feel about that happening to your films as well?
Well, I'm particularly annoyed about that because it's far from being controversial. It's taught at Loyola University, so by Jesuits who are sort of the intellectual Catholics. So if they teach it as a good Catholic film, chances are it is.
Yes, yes.
And it's only people, unreligious people, and people who aren't into the faith or will give it a break who will criticise it.
But do you think we'll ever see a release of the fully finished version?
Well, Warners are constantly being approached with lists of people who've, you know, written, clamouring for it to be shown again, and still no sign of it, even though there is a very good print of virtually the original cut.
Yes.
So guess I'll have to die.
Oh, oh, oh no, oh no. And just finally, what's the future for Ken Russell? I now know you make films in your house, and do you have any sort of words of advice for anyone getting into films now? Or, you know,
well,
anything you say not to do.
Well, it is easy to make films now. They cost very little. All you have to do is press a red button.
Yes, which we've got here.
Which you've got there.
Yeah.
And that's virtually all you know. I mean, state of the art is it's made it accessible to anyone who's got something to say. It's easier than it's ever been to make films.
Yes.
And well, I make them myself with friends and neighbours. And so they're good times. You just need a good story and friends and neighbours who willingly participate.
Everyone's a pitch in.
And all I found is necessary to keep them interested is to cook them a good dinner.
That's a perfect, yes. That's very nice,
and
very enticing.
Then they'll work with you as long as you keep feeding them.
Okay, well that's great. Thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate your time, and thanks very much for talking to us.
No
Good
problem.
luck. Thank you.